Hello, this is Leo. I was having a conversation this morning with a real estate agent. And the conversation started by one of my assistants sending a message on LinkedIn to see, hey, how are things going with the real estate career? And the answer was kind of puzzling. They said, after 30 years, we're going to hang it up. We're going to go in a different direction. Then I thought, geez, that's a huge waste of money or a huge waste of time, because why would you go through all the training, all the work to develop clients, all the work to develop and keep yourself available to develop a career, and why would you give it up after 30 years? I mean, that's incredible. I mean, when I when I don't have the opportunity to fish my coffee, I think, that's a waste. I'm not going to do that, and that's only a freaking cup of coffee, right? But 30 years, and unfortunately, in my business, as a business consultant, we see this a lot, a lot, because people tend to make decisions that they believe are temporary decisions, then become almost lifelong decisions. Um, as an example, a lot of my clients are in the construction renovation industry, and a lot of people follow their dad's footsteps. So if dad was an electrician, chances are they're going to be an electrician, a high percentage. Or if dad was a plumber, the son's a plumber. If dad was a carpenter, chances are the son's going to be a carpenter. Even though the son sees dad working his ass off, and and you would think, well, dad's working his ass off. He has no life. He has no weekends. He has nothing aside from working hard. Then why don't these people ask questions like, what are my options? Do I go to college? Do I, try something different? Maybe the plumber can become a real estate agent, but hopefully you're going to interview 20 or 30 real estate agents and ask the question, well, what's life like as a real estate agent? Or what's life like as a plumber? What's life like as a carpenter, right? Why aren't we interviewing 10, 20, 30 different people? Because you want to have a good cross section, because you don't want to be talking with someone who's really not doing well and talks you out of it. And you want to talk to the average person and the top of people in their field. And if you're not asking, well, what kind of tools are you using that the average real estate agent is not using, or the average carpenter is not using? Why aren't we asking these questions? I don't get it. We are about to devote our lives, one third of our lives, one third of our day, to a job or a business, and we don't ask ourselves, what's my quality of life going to be? Isn't that sad? Now, going back to the real estate agent after 30 years giving up, because do you give up on something that you're doing extremely well in? I don't think so. So even though I asked a question, didn't get an answer, like, you're not going to give up a career where you're making 300, 500, or $1 million a year. So, and statistics show in the Toronto area, there are 60,000 real estate agents. Yes, some of them make $1 million, but the average is less than $30,000 a year. So some of them obviously do it part-time, a lot of them doing it full-time. So, but $30,000 a year, I mean, after all that education, after all that time spent looking for clients, after all that time spent trying to develop a business, and how many times has the average real estate agent talked to the highest producer and say, hey, can I take you to lunch? I'm struggling. I need some help. You know, how many times do we do that? I mean, LinkedIn is full of people who are willing to help you. And how many times have you asked for help? Whether, even if you're a plumber, or you're a mechanic, or you run a restaurant or anything like that. Why do we prevent our egos from asking one simple question that could save 30 years on our learning curve? I, I just don't get it. And please enlighten me if you're seeing something that I can't see. Because when I was 11 and a half years old, as an example, I try and practice what I preach. When I was 11 and a half years old, I had a traumatic experience. And because my dad was a construction laborer, he was a farmer in the old country, came to this country and he became a construction laborer. He learned to sign his name at 45 years old. I loved my dad. But what he was telling me, Leo, you got to work hard, nose to the grindstone, the work ethic, this crap didn't sit well with me. It didn't make sense. 11 and a half years old, and I said, well, this doesn't make sense, right? There's got to be something better than working hard and working my ass off. I mean, slavery is gone, right? So why am I being taught that I should act and behave like a slave? So after some weeks of research, and of course there's no internet back then, I started thinking, okay, where can I meet successful people? Because I don't have successful people around me, but I need to meet them. Even though I didn't know what a mentor was, I still felt the need that I needed to meet successful people. So I came up with the idea that successful people dress in custom-made suits or made-to-measure suits. And, I couldn't meet those in church because everybody's dressed well. So, but I need to meet them at a tailor shop. I couldn't think of anything else. Found in Yellow Pages, found three tailor shops, and I went out, made sure that I got a job at 11 and a half, 12 years old. I lied about my age. I mean, there's other videos that talk about that concept, but I volunteered for them for almost a month before they decided to give me a job vacuuming and cleaning the store. But eventually I got a job. I was offered a job and I met some incredible mentors. Mr. Edwards, a retired business owner who was multi successful, multiple businesses. Dave, who was a retired business executive, which I sponged. I mean, I sucked his brain dry. And he loved talking to me. He loved telling me stories. And Peter, the tailor shop owner, who was an incredible mentor. And I got such a high from these people that this created a drive for me that I had to search out and find other people, other business owners. And that's how my career took off. And this is why I was able to buy my first house at 17 and did all that because I had the hunger. I don't see a lot of people with hunger on LinkedIn. Yes, they started a business because they were told they had to, or they got a job because they were told they had to. They got 2.5 kids because they were told they had to. They got married because they were told they had to. But why don't we sit back and say, okay, what do I want? I'm going to live for 80 years. How am I going to maximize my life 80 or 120 years? How am I going to maximize that? Why aren't we more demanding of ourselves? Why don't we have outrageous goals so we don't get disappointed if we don't meet them? Is that really why? Is our ego so important that we're willing to live the majority of our lives miserably just so we don't get disappointed? Is that really what we're doing? Come on, life is so much greater than that. I mean, traveling the world playing beach volleyball, traveling the world surfing, traveling the world doing whatever, but or traveling the lake with a houseboat, or God, there's so much we can do. Really, all you can think of is working yourself to death. Come on, don't you deserve better than that? Isn't there really a difference between working hard and working smart? Why don't we talk to other people? Why don't we talk to old people? Especially people on their deathbed. What are your regrets? If you could live your life over again, what would you do differently? And why don't we think of ourselves in that deathbed saying, okay, I'm going to be 120 years old in my deathbed. What are going to be my regrets? and write those down. Then start fixing them so they don't become regrets. I hear so much. We analyze, as most of you know, we fly around, well, before the virus, we used to fly around 5 flights a week, analyzing, dissecting companies. And you'd be surprised how many times people can answer, well, how did you get into this business? Nobody has a plan. Well, it happened because I got a job in summer, and I learned how to do this and I started a business. Nobody asks, well, what's my quality of life going to be if I start this business? Why don't we ask questions? I would love to hear your thoughts. If I'm wrong, and hopefully you can convince me that I'm wrong, because I've had this conversation so many times and I'm still not convinced that I'm wrong. I should be wrong, because I should be told, no, Leo, this is why I got into this business. I got into this business because I did the research. I found it was the most profitable industry. I also found the best tools to use because I talked to X, Y, and Z companies, and they informed me of what the best tools were. I paid them or whatever, or I exchanged services or whatever, but I did my research. Can anyone give me the research that shows or proves they're on the right train tracks? Please, I need it for my sanity. Would love to hear your questions, comments below, and let's talk soon. Thank you.